Imagine carrying a heavy bag on your shoulders day after day. The weight grows and you feel like you can't take another step. Life sometimes feels exactly like that. Financial struggles, family problems, heartbreaks, health issues, you name it. And then in the middle of the storm, someone whispers to you, it's all part of a bigger plan. Trust the one who knows what you don't. This speech is about that trusting Allah's plan and how it can turn nights of tears into mornings of peace. Life was never meant to be without challenges. Each one of us at some point experiences moments of difficulty, whether it is loss, disappointment, or situations we never imagined we would face. These hardships are not accidents, they are part of the journey Allah has designed for every soul. When we go through trials, it is natural to question why things are happening the way they are. But if we pause for a moment and reflect, we realize that even the toughest moments carry a purpose. They shape us, mold us, and prepare us for something greater than we can see at the moment. Allah never promised a life free of struggles. In fact, He tells us in the Quran that He will test us with fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives, and fruits, and then He gives glad tidings to the patient. These words remind us that hardships are not signs of Allah's anger, but rather a means to elevate our ranks, cleanse our hearts, and bring us closer to Him. When everything goes smoothly in life, we often forget our Creator. But the moment pain knocks at our door, we remember Him more, we cry to Him, and our connection with Him becomes stronger. That alone shows how even hardship can be a hidden blessing. Many times, what we call a setback is actually a setup for something better. A door closing today might be protecting us from harm or leading us to a greater opportunity tomorrow. Think of all the times you wanted something desperately but later realized it wasn't good for you. This is Allah's mercy in action. He knows what we don't. He sees the bigger picture while we see only a small part of it. Hardships also teach us empathy. When you have felt pain yourself, you become more compassionate towards others. You begin to understand their struggles because you have walked a similar path. Life's difficulties humble us, soften our hearts, and remind us that this world is temporary. At the end of the day, these trials push us to rely less on ourselves and more on Allah, which is exactly where true peace begins. Trusting in Allah's wisdom means surrendering our worries, fears, and unanswered questions to the one who knows everything past, present, and future. Often life takes turns we never expected. We plan with so much certainty, yet suddenly things change, doors close, and paths we thought were ours slip away. In those moments, it is easy to feel frustrated or even hopeless. But when we remember that Allah's knowledge is perfect, that He sees what we cannot, our hearts begin to settle. His plans are never random. Every delay, every detour, every no carries a wisdom far greater than our understanding. Sometimes we desperately want something to work out, a job, a relationship, a dream, only to watch it crumble before our eyes. In the moment it hurts. We question why things didn't go the way we hoped, but months or even years later we often realize that what we thought was a loss was actually protection, or that something far better awaited us. That is Allah's wisdom at work. He gives us what we need, not always what we want, because He knows what the future holds and what is best for our hearts and faith. When we look at the lives of the prophets, we see this lesson repeatedly. Yusuf A.S. was thrown into a well, sold as a slave, and imprisoned, yet every step was part of a plan leading him to a position of honor and authority. Musa A.S. was placed in a basket on a river as a baby, an act that seemed like desperation, but it was the beginning of his journey to prophethood. These stories remind us that what seems like a trial in the moment is often the very thing that carries us to our destiny. Trusting Allah doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy. It means we believe deep in our hearts that there is goodness in His decree, even when we cannot see it right away. It means saying, I don't understand right now, but I know my Rabb makes no mistakes. That trust brings peace in the middle of uncertainty because we know the author of our story writes it with love, mercy, and perfection. When life feels heavy and the heart is burdened, two powerful tools bring comfort like nothing else: patience and prayer. Patience is not simply waiting for things to change. It is the strength to remain calm, to keep faith alive, and to stay hopeful even when the storm seems never ending. It is about holding on to the belief that after every hardship, ease will come, just as Allah has promised. Patience teaches us to surrender our timelines and expectations to the one who knows best, trusting that His plan will unfold at the right moment. Prayer, on the other hand, is the direct connection between us and our Creator. When the world turns its back, when people fail to understand our pain, prayer is where we find solace. It is where we pour out our hearts to the one who already knows every tear we've shed. Prayer doesn't just change our circumstances, it transforms us from within. Even before our situation improves, we begin to feel lighter because we have handed over our worries to Allah. In times of hardship, patience keeps us from despair while prayer keeps us connected to hope. Together they shield our hearts from breaking under the weight of trials. The Prophet ﷺ told us that prayer is a source of peace, a comfort for the soul. When we stand before Allah, reciting His words, bowing and prostrating in humility, the world's noise fades and our hearts taste tranquility even amid chaos. Many of us think we will find peace only when the problem ends. But the truth is, peace begins when we learn to trust Allah in the middle of the storm. Patience stops us from giving up, and prayer fills us with the strength to carry on. The Quran repeatedly tells us to seek help through patience and prayer, because these two are the keys that open the door to inner calm. Sometimes the answer to our prayer comes quickly, other times it takes longer. But with patience, we learn that Allah's timing is always perfect. Through prayer, we find the courage to face each day, knowing that no hardship lasts forever and that Allah's mercy is greater than any trial. Every struggle we face carries within it a lesson, even if we don't recognize it right away. When life hits us with difficulties, our first reaction is often confusion or frustration. We wonder why things are happening to us, why doors are closing, or why nothing seems to go as planned. But if we look deeper beyond the pain and discomfort, we realize that struggles often teach us things we would never have learned in times of ease. Hardships have a way of humbling us. They remind us that we are not in control, that no matter how much we plan, only Allah's plan will prevail. This realization is not meant to break us but to guide us towards surrendering our hearts to Him. Many times the struggles we face are what bring us closer to Allah. In moments of weakness, we raise our hands in dua with sincerity we may have never shown before. The pain softens our hearts, washing away arrogance and replacing it with faith and humility. Struggles also teach us gratitude. When things are taken away from us, we begin to appreciate the blessings we once overlooked. Losing health makes us value every moment of strength. Losing wealth teaches us to be thankful for the little we have. Losing relationships reminds us of the people who truly care for us. Through difficulties, Allah teaches us to count our blessings rather than focus on what we lack. Another hidden lesson in struggles is resilience. When you go through pain and survive it, you come out stronger than before. The things you thought would break you become the very experiences that shape your character and prepare you for greater responsibilities ahead. What once made you cry now becomes a source of wisdom you can share with others. Sometimes, struggles protect us from things we cannot see. What feels like a painful ending might actually be Allah saving us from something harmful in the future. We often realize this only later when everything falls into place and we see how the hardship led to growth, strength, and better opportunities. That is why struggles, though difficult, are often wrapped in divine mercy and hidden blessings. Being grateful when life is easy comes naturally to most people, but showing gratitude in the middle of pain and hardship is one of the highest levels of faith. When everything seems to be falling apart, it takes real strength to say, Alhamdulillah, Allah knows best. Yet this very attitude can transform the way we experience trials. Gratitude during challenges does not mean we pretend the pain isn't there. Rather, it means we recognize that even in difficulty, there are blessings we often overlook. When we face struggles, it is easy to focus only on what has gone wrong. But if we look closely, we will always find things to be grateful for. Perhaps the hardship brought us closer to Allah, softened our hearts, or opened our eyes to blessings we took for granted before. Maybe it protected us from something harmful we couldn't see at the time. Gratitude allows us to shift our perspective, seeing trials not just as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and closeness to our Creator. The Quran reminds us that when we are grateful, Allah increases us in blessings. This means that gratitude is not only a response to good times but also a key that unlocks more goodness even in the midst of pain. A grateful heart finds light in the darkest nights because it knows Allah's mercy is still present. We still wake up each morning, we still have faith, we still have the chance to pray and seek His help. These are all blessings worthy of thanks no matter what else is happening in our lives. Gratitude in hardship also keeps us patient. Instead of falling into despair, we start to notice the small mercies around us, a comforting word from someone, the strength to make it through another day, or the peace we feel after turning to Allah in prayer. These moments remind us that Allah has not abandoned us, that He is still guiding and caring for us in ways we may not fully understand. Over time, gratitude turns hardship into a means of spiritual elevation. It keeps hope alive, strengthens our trust in Allah, and helps us see that even the most painful experiences carry hidden blessings that shape our hearts for the better. After every storm, there comes a moment of calm. The sky that was once dark and heavy with clouds slowly clears, and the sun begins to shine again. Life works the same way. No matter how overwhelming the hardship feels, it will not last forever. Allah promises in the Quran, "Indeed, with hardship comes ease." This verse is not just words of comfort, it is a divine guarantee that no trial is permanent and every difficulty will eventually give way to relief and peace. When we are in the middle of a storm, it often feels like it will never end. We become so consumed by the pain, the uncertainty, and the fear that we forget Allah has written an ending for every hardship. Just as night always gives way to day, sadness will give way to joy and confusion will give way to clarity. The key is to hold on to faith during the storm, trusting that Allah is preparing something better for us on the other side. Peace after hardship comes in many forms. Sometimes it is the problem itself being solved, a door opening after so many were shut. Other times it is the strength and wisdom we gain through the experience. We emerge from the storm, not as the same people who entered it, but as stronger, wiser, and more grateful individuals. The hardship that once felt unbearable often becomes the reason we grow closer to Allah, because we finally understood the value of relying on Him completely. Often, the peace that follows is not only external but internal. Even if the situation takes time to change, the heart finds a new sense of calm and trust in Allah's plan. We begin to look back at the hardship and see how it shaped us, taught us patience, and purified our faith. The same storm that once made us cry in desperation becomes a turning point in our spiritual journey. This is the mercy of Allah that He never leaves a believer in hardship without granting ease, whether through changed circumstances, inner peace, or both. The storm may be fierce, but the sunshine that follows always carries lessons, blessings, and a reminder of Allah's perfect plan. When we look back at everything we have reflected upon, hardships, trust in Allah's wisdom, the power of patience and prayer, the lessons hidden in struggles, gratitude during challenges, and the peace that follows the storm, we see a clear message. Life was never meant to be a smooth journey. It was designed with ups and downs to shape us, humble us, and bring us closer to the one who controls every moment of our existence. Every trial is temporary, every tear has a purpose, and every unanswered prayer carries wisdom we may only understand later. True peace comes when we stop fighting against Allah's plan and instead surrender to it, trusting that He knows what we do not. When we respond to hardships with faith, patience, and gratitude, our hearts find a calm that no difficulty can take away. So the next time life feels overwhelming, remember this: the storm will pass, and what Allah has written for you will always be better than what you had planned for yourself. Trust Him, hold on to prayer, stay patient, and let your heart rest in the knowledge that His plan is always perfect.